Hi Xanthe, it's such a great day today, so I'm just going to add my desk light again, just to add a little bit more light sort of in this area. So I'm just going to put a little bit of makeup on. So the top that I'm wearing you can consider to be a deep colour, so I've got light to dark. It's more going towards the black than towards the white. It's close to magenta in hue, so magenta is between red and blue, and but it's a little bit going towards the red. Deep colours in general I find suit me better, so sort of this ring here, so if I consider this to be dark, nearest to the black, dark, deep, sort of medium, light and pale. And then you've got your different hues sort of going around your colour wheel, and then your chroma, if you desaturate you go towards neutral grey. I find that completely grey colours don't do anything for me, and also I don't seem to suit, I think, the very light colours, so definitely I think suit better these colours. Anyway, just an overview. I thought that I would just apply a little bit of makeup. I was also just want to compare with the red, just before I put a little bit of makeup on. Oh, tangled up. I found the plastic one went in more smoothly than the wire one, but they kept snapping, so I've got wire ones. Okay, so just going to compare to this is more red. So what we essentially are doing compared to this colour is that we are just basically moving, still deep, but going from magenta to red. And then this is more of a primary red, so we are going sort of more medium value. So that's the difference. So as far as paint pigments are concerned, just got a few here. It's closest to my quinacridone magenta, but that's a primary there, pearl red, just for comparison's sake. And there's a warm red, so that's a cadmium red light. So it's just this can just help with gauging whether the lighting looks okay. So I got this cover stick, Essence cover stick concealer. This colour is 20 Matte Sand, which I think is pretty close to my skin tone. So I'm just going to see how that looks all by itself without adding anything else. It doesn't give full coverage, hyperpigmentation. Usually with hyperpigmentation the recommendation is to go in with something in the orange family, a bit peachier, so when you're going from darker places to lighter then it's less likely to be ashy. So I'll just try it under my eyes as well. Again, for the under eyes, the darker circles, if they're sort of bluish colour, the reason why the orange tones are used is to neutralise. This being quite close to my skin tone is not necessarily going to correct the areas, if that makes sense, but anyway, I think that the difference is very minimal. It sort of gave a smoother appearance. I mean, I might use it, we'll see how we go. When I use the foundation sticks instead, I find that with these I feel quite comfortable on. I feel a little tiny bit itchy, maybe because of the clays in them or whatever, but towards the end of the day. But I find that sometimes when I, especially when I'm wearing a colour like this, sometimes when I do get a bit of flushing, it comes all the way down here. Now I got this top just at an end of season sale, and so heavily discounted price, so I just basically held up a few colours that I liked the look of and just see if I like them or not. But sometimes these kind of colours bring out sometimes when I do get a bit of flushing on my cheeks, and it comes right down here. So anyway, I'm just going to use a little bit of this. So this is the Milani 04. We are officially in winter now in New Zealand. So I'm just going to use a little bit around this kind of area because the flushing sometimes comes down to there. So I don't think it's rosacea as such, but it definitely can, I'll use a little bit there. Just I don't put much on my forehead because of my hair. a little bit under my eyes. A little cat, an extra cat, which is a bit annoying. This one here, the 160 Essence Foundation Stick. Spell bugs me. I'm just going to put this sort of more the cheek kind of zone. This one I tried by itself, works reasonably well. But I think just using them together can be quite good. And then maybe I'm going to try this foundation stick just around the nose area, see if it helps much. So out of the three, the foundation stick is the closest match to my skin. Anyway, we're just going to blend out. Use this buffing brush, which is a little bit denser than and a little bit firmer than the fluffy brushes for, you know, that I use for powders. You know, so these kind of brushes here, which are much softer. So these ones just buff out. You can see that one's blended already. I reckon that it's quite a nice finish. It's kind of, you know, looks like skin but better kind of thing. Just sort of toned down some of the hyperpigmentation, which has been way worse in the past, you know, with hormonal factors and sun exposure and whatever. So this is like my, pretty much my untanned, just slight incidental sun here and there. So I can tan quite deep. So I just want to, you know, make sure that it's all buffed in, that we haven't got any stray bits. I think that works quite fine. I'm just going to apply just the darkest part and darkest shadow under the eyes, just a little bit of this peach. This is the next stick. I'm going to apply just to the darkest shadow there, and just see. Normally that would get put underneath using concealers, but the concealer on its own wasn't enough. I don't know if that's actually made it slightly worse, but let's just put a little bit more of this. I'm actually going to switch to the lighter one. I'm going to switch to this one here. It's sort of more yellowish. This one here is called a rosy peach. You see the difference? And then this one here they've called a sand, which is basically a beige. So this one is the closest to my neck and my hand. This one is closest to my cheeks. This one is generally closest to my skin tone overall, but I don't really think it's making much difference. So just put a little bit of that yellowish one under the eyes. I think that's better. This one, it says it's concealer and a skin tint. Just put a little bit under the eyes there. I think that works better than, but this one's expensive comparatively. This was under $10 New Zealand, this was under $5 New Zealand. This was like 4 times the price of that one, I think, if I recall correctly. Like, not what I would normally pay, but I do quite like it anyway. Now I think that lipstick makes the biggest difference, so let's apply some lipstick. And I've pulled out 2 in this kind of family. Cherries in the Snow, which is a little bit bold on me by itself. And one of my favourites is Porto Please, when I'm wearing anything with a little bit of purple. It's just a little bit muted in comparison, and that one's quite bold. So it's kind of in between. Just want to see, sometimes I just hold up like that. Yeah, I think it's kind of more that one with a bit of that mixed in rather than that on its own. But especially when I blend, if I wipe them off, You can see the staining effect of this one. So I'm going to apply the Porto Please with a little bit of the cherries and the snow to intensify it. So this colour I also happily wear with the colour that I've got underneath, which is this kind of colour here. But just because this colour is a little bit bolder in comparison, it's not a super bold colour, but it is a little bit, you know, bolder than some of the more muted colours that I like to wear as well. And that is pretty much a match. It might look different on the video because the video is quite difficult to get the colours to match. The main issue is the lighting. Very difficult to have, you know, lighting on a budget, so I've got 2 small ring lights. Today I've got my desk light just because the light from the window is just very grey day, another grey rainy day. So yeah, I think I like that. Now what I've done is, instead of picking out anything that's kind of more leans orange, because I'm very neutral, so I like to lean a little bit cool, a little bit warm. I think that the warm versus cool thing tends to be a bit just overdone. Like, it's not just that. I think that the value matters more than the warm versus cool, unless you're extremely warm, which is basically orange, or extremely cool, which is basically blue. It's kind of, yeah. And the thing is, the colour analysis is that it's so inconsistent. You'll get completely different palettes. So I was typed deep autumn decades ago, but some deep autumn palettes are really dark. Some are very more like a true autumn. The true seasons there's different definitions. So anyway, don't follow it religiously, but I do observe that in general, when I'm shopping around, these pastels don't generally look very good on me. And generally they're very pale colours. Even pure white doesn't look that great on me. If I want to use a lighter colour, it tends to be sort of a bit more neutral and not pale. So not a typical winter. This colour here is actually in a digital palette that I have that is for a deep autumn and a deep neutral, they've called it. I mean, people can just make up these palettes as they go along, but anyway, I'm just going to put a tiny bit of blush on today. So out of these two, from this Dusty Rose blush duo, which is probably one of my most used blushes by Chi Chi, I tend to use that one more. So in the ingredients, it's got Magenta White, Iron Oxide, which is your earthy red, earthy yellow, ultramarine, so that's like your blue, yellow, a couple of yellows, a couple of reds, and another blue. So, you know, it's got a little bit purpley. So I just put a little bit on because this colour does tend to bring out a little bit of flushing, exaggerated in my complexion, even though my complexion is usually pretty neutral. Just a little bit there. And I find that, you know, some people say your palette's forever or whatever, you spend a fortune on one. I got mine done back when I was in my 20s, back in the 90s. Now, some people go, it's for life. Well, I actually do think that my colouring shifted more neutral. And I think with the olive complexion, both warm and cool features, I think that the factor about my complexion when it comes to makeup is I'm very desaturated. So even these colours, they're actually quite muted. They're not super muted in the way of going completely grey, which is the middle of this model, but they are not super bold. When I've swatched super bold blush, for example, it just stands out in a really bad way. So when I pick lipsticks, for example, I just try them on my hand. So this one here, I think it went nicely. I've also got some warmer leaning lipsticks as well, like a rusty kind of one, but this one here is much bolder on me, so use with caution kind of thing. But if I try on like, this is still deep, if I try on a really bright magenta, it looks all kinds of wrong. And if I try on a bright orange, it looks all kind of wrong. So definitely desaturated and neutral. But that doesn't mean I have to wear desaturated and neutral colours. I like this colour on myself, for example. Now, as far as eyeshadow is concerned, I'm just going to pick one. This is a mixture again of it's got neutrals and it's got a few cools and a few, you know, deeper colours. It's got a mixture. Again, the pigments. It's got let's see, iron oxides. Oh, they've listed them all over the place. It's hard to find them. Red. So iron oxides are always the earthy yellow, earthy red, and black, basically. Yeah, they're kind of split out in different shades. But basically, it's red, so they're kind of pinks, but they're not those really super cool bubblegum pinks, which look all kinds of bad on me. So as far as pinks go, those would be it for me. And let's just have a look for a brush. So I tend to put the kind of more neutral shade just in this area up here. But what that's doing, it's actually a warm shade, this one here, if you want to be specific about the temperature. So that one there, it's actually a little bit brownish. But I'm just put a little bit at this area here, because I've got what's called hooded eyes. And I tend to prefer putting the lighter ones over the lid and a little bit of either bright or dark on the edge. So the brightest one from that palette is that one there, but it's still not as cool as the red magenta. It's actually closer to this red here with white added, so primary red. And when I did look at the list of ingredients, it did have a red, so it's actually a true kind of pink. So pinks technically are white mixed with red, whereas magenta tends to be more violet leaning. And just a little bit there, and just, you know, still want it to kind of coordinate. Let's go for that cooler, slightly cooler one. So there's a cooler one and a warmer one. Don't necessarily use all the colours in a palette, but I find that the palettes, especially these pigmented ones, it's quite pinky on my eyes. I think that the palettes can be quite good value. I'm just going to blend that out. Now, I've also pulled out another palette. So that one was called Romance by Chi. This one is called Cool Browns by Chi. I pulled this out because, you know, there's a brown in the button, there's brown in my hair, so I thought maybe just using that dark one just as an eyeliner. I find that being, you know, over 50, and also I just prefer the slightly softer look, especially with the eyeliner. So, and because my eyes are a bit hooded, what happens if I do try to make a line there, I'll probably show more when you see this eye here, what happens is there's a disconnect. If I do kind of go like that, I need to kind of connect the line, because what happens is this part here tends to sort of overhang a little bit. And I think my eyes have always been this kind of a shape, but they become, you know, with your skin getting a little droopier as you get older, it becomes a little bit more exaggerated. just kind of smooth it out just a little, just to blend it in, just add a little bit of a shadow there. And then, yeah, I think I don't really need anything else from that one. This button's two-toned. Oh no, we're just going to add a little bit of what the button colour is. Just a little bit there. Just to catch the light. So I like the metallic sort of shimmer ones, but not any real glitter ones with large glitter particles that scratch your eyeballs. So I'm just going to so I've used a little bit of bright, a little bit of neutral, just improvise really. But in general, I put the darker one just softly underneath, maybe at the outer corner, or a bright at the outer corner. Put a medium neutral on this area, and then a little shimmery highlight. So it doesn't matter what colour you use, again it's the value. And then the only other thing that I need to put on is a little bit of mascara. I use brown mascara these days, a tubing one. This one's a neater one. It might look black at first glance, but it's actually brown, a dark brown. And then just put a little bit on. Just add a little bit of definition, but it still looks natural. I can't stand that heavy fake eyelash look personally, and also artificially very heavy brows. So I just, and because of my glasses where I don't tend to like usually wearing anything on my brows anyway, because it sort of just ends up on the glasses. So if I want a tiny bit more definition, I have got this NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Tint Pen. It's in the colour Espresso. So it's not black, but again it might look black at first glance. And you can just sort of just make a kind of natural look, just, you know, if there's any slightly more sparse areas. That I've only got 4 brows at this stage, and it's very fine, so it's like it's kind of like you know, just painting fine hairs. I definitely found that this is better than other products that I've used in the past, but my brows are going to be basically hidden by glasses anyway. Just wondering if it's a little bit blotchy with my blush. Just trying to add a little bit more. Just add a little bit more. Now I don't tend to bother with the powder, which I could have put on before. I did pull some out, I thought. I did pull a little bit of powder out. Just going to put a little bit under my eyes with a little brush. I've just got this one, Revlon. I actually only own 2 powders, so this is Revlon Blur and Set in a banana powder. So it just brightens this area a little bit as well. And I think that just using a tiny bit just over the this sort of area, maybe tone that blush down a bit. I'm just going to add a little bit of blush to my chin, because I do find that sometimes it looks a little bit pale when I put foundation on, just in the chin area, just to make it look a bit natural. Maybe because I'm used to seeing a little bit of redness on my chin, it looks a bit funny when I cover it. Put a little bit across my nose as well, so that will do. And so with my hair, I have just used Velcro rollers to style it, which is cheap as anything. So my hair is just cut into layers, and then basically to, you know, swoop away, because my hair is straight to slightly wavy. My hair is straight to slightly wavy, and I think that layers look better if they've got a bit of a bend in them. So basically, mostly dry it. I've got a little bit of leave-in conditioner from the mid-length to the ends, a little bit of mousse around this area. I can't stand hairspray because of the fumes or whatever, so basically dry it off nearly completely, so it can be, you know, partially air dry as well. And then when it's nearly completely dry, just warm it up a little, just put the rollers in around this area, just warm them up with the hairdryer, don't, you know, fry your hair, and just leave it for, you know, 15 minutes or so, or you can use the cool blast on the hairdryer if you're in a hurry, and then just take them out, and it just you know, makes more of a bit more of a swoop. As far as the colour is concerned, I think I officially have the start of about 3 silver hairs, like probably about that long, but you have to kind of really search for them. I think that it's quite contrasty against my hair, and but what I have been doing is just occasionally using a semi-permanent without developers, no peroxide, no ammonia, so it's more like just a hair glaze. So it won't completely cover grey, but it blends and then it just fades back. So I've done that twice recently. This time I only used half of the tube, so it said that you can, you know, use it when it's already opened after a time. So I thought that, you know, just use it once every few months just to add a little bit of richness. I'm using a chocolate, which is actually the same colour as my natural hair colour anyway. And I'll just see what happens, like when, you know, more grey comes in, because some people say that autumn's grey really badly, although I'd be curious because I do think my colouring is a bit more neutral, so kind of dipping into winter territory. But anyway, as far as hair colour history is concerned, I've already kind of looked at this before, I think, but my hair colour was a lot lighter when I was a child, and had a lot more sun exposure, and because I was outdoors a lot with my family, etc. And so my hair was more of a light brown, which actually would bleach when it was longer to blonde. And it's kind of funny because they say deep water shouldn't go blonde. Well, maybe I shouldn't now, it wouldn't probably look very flattering on me. But what happened is in puberty, my hair darkened, but it's not super dark. Like, it might look dark in some photos or videos, but it's actually, in some lighting, it's actually kind of more medium dark, because you can actually go darker. And so I have never dyed my hair black. I have dyed my hair in the past a couple of times dark chocolate, which looks almost black on me, and then it would fade back. But I think that when I'm looking at people with greying, what looks bad is if they have a very harsh line that looks, they call it like the skunk line. So I want to avoid that, and I can't afford super expensive salon treatments. So I think that if I avoid any peroxide or anything like that. The other thing with bleaching hair but artificially is often, especially when you've got darker hair, it goes through all these red stages, and I think that red suits me. Like, I used to sometimes dye my hair red, but then if it bleaches out and fades out to orange, it's too warm and just looks kind of really weird against my the olive in my skin. So kind of most foundations that I wear are kind of label some kind of a beige, but I definitely am more desaturated with my complexion, so it's kind of enhancing for me to add a little bit of colour with what I'm wearing. So me wearing beige would just look very terrible, really. Anyway, thanks.